And here we are, 426 Hemi, cast aluminum heads versus cast iron heads. What a mess. He just bought this car from what I know.
Oh my God. Wow.
Got bad news for you, buddy.
Welcome back to Nick's Garage. Nick's got a shop full of good things, as usual. Vasily's digging into this Grand National. And Nick's getting ready for a big comparison test with a 426 Hemi. It's business as usual at Nick's Garage, but it's gonna add up to one big episode. Strap in and get ready for power.
Apparently we've got an 86 Grand National that he has some destruction, I believe, in this engine because he was driving it, he was pushing it, and then he told me he had some kind of noises, the engine stalled, and then after that, he called me, he says, Nick, can I tow the Grand National to your shop? I said, you know what, I don't got any space right now, but you know what, bring it in, we'll take a quick look. So Vasily here removed the spark plugs. He put a camera down the cylinder to see what we've got. Check this out.
This is the rod.
Okay.
And that part here, going across, it's the piston pin. Whatever's left of it.
Okay, and where's the piston?
The piston is probably swimming in the oil pan right now.
We see the connector rod with the wrist pin, but no piston. My client was just driving it on the highway, and I believe he was pushing it over the limit, or what, I don't know what he meant by that, but he pushed it hard. Then all of a sudden he heard some noises and the engine stalled. Okay, now let's take a look, see what's inside the cylinder. How does it look?
The cylinder looks like it's in, you see here some chunks are missing.
Okay, let's see what we got. Let's take a good look.
You see that? That's the pin. The cylinder is here, and that's the whatever there, you see? There's a chunk missing right here. The Buick became a 5-cylinder.
Okay, so we lost the piston, looks like, eh? So that's major destruction in this motor.
It's called a highway party.
So from what we see, is looks like our customer is pushing this to the limits or above the limits. We also know that's slightly modified this turbocharged B6 Buick. So as you can see, what you guys, Vasily has just found inside the cylinder. So it's time to take a look into further details what's going on. So in the meantime, drain the oil pan and see what we've got. We all know that we have many Georges in my shop. This is a new George who just bought this car not long ago. From after what we've seen with the camera down into the cylinder, what Vasily went through, that we can see that this is a total destruction. We're gonna have to remove the engine. Here we go. Take a good look at this. Watch out, man. Maybe the piston might come out of there. Wow, look at that. That's green.
Green oil.
That's green, man.
Save it.
Now it's coming out like milk. Check that out.
Save it.
Oh, look at that. What a total destruction on this one, man.
We could reuse that.
You know, I'm sure he's got a hole in the cylinder, right? I'm sure from what I see here, man.
Piston missing on the
I see antifreeze oil and what else?
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
You know what that means, eh?
A little bit of.
You know what this means? We're gonna have to remove the engine for sure. Oh, what a mess, what a mess.
It's mud.
Look at that, man. Oh, look at that. Take a look, bring your camera in this one, man, look at this. Milk.
It's so thick, it's not even
Bring
going.
it.
All the antifreeze is coming out of here.
Bring me my cornflakes.
I got bad news for George when I call him. I think we're gonna have a lot of damage on this one. Probably cylinder head is damaged.
Cylinder block.
Block is damaged, pistons are gone. Who knows, bent rods, damaged rods. Pistons are gone, cylinder is gone. Maybe we need another block. Maybe the cylinder head. We haven't even seen the other side yet. But anyways, right here, from what you see here, look, it's still draining. It's got all the antifreeze coming out of here, all the motor oil. Thank God you emptied the tank, Vasily.
Yeah.
Looks like we got a mess here. You know, this engine is a 4 liter, or should I say 4 US quarts oil pan. This is beyond that.
Plus what, 4 gallons in there or coolant?
Oh, I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe.
About?
All the antifreeze is coming out of the oil pan. Look at it, you guys.
That
Hey?
means stuff went to the turbo too because of the exhaust.
Oh, yeah, this thing went through everywhere. Look, now it's coming out like antifreeze. Check it out. Wow, what a mess. George, you got bad news for you, buddy. You just bought this car from what I know. But anyways, Vasily, go ahead, rip this engine out. Let's see what we got inside. It's all yours.
While Vasily tears into the turbo in the front of the shop, Nick's in the engine room getting ready for a big comparison test with a 426 Hemi.
I just finished assembling the cylinder heads for the 426 Hemi that belongs to Frank from Massachusetts. I just did a valve job on it because I wanted to make a test back to back with aluminum heads versus cast iron heads on the same Hemi engine that's on the dynamometer. But I realized that if I want to match apples with apples, that the area behind the valve on the intake side on the aluminum heads were a lot nicer than the cast iron. So what I did is I cleaned out the bowl area behind the intake valve to equal the same amount of flow versus the aluminum heads. So we could have apples versus apples. The CCs are both 170cc, aluminum and cast iron. So our bottom line is we want to try aluminum heads versus cast iron on the same engine. So let's take it next door in the dining room. So here we have it. This is the cast iron heads. They belong to Frank, and these aluminum heads belong to my brother on this 426. So what I want to do is I want to do some testing the way it is right now, play a little bit with the timing, check out how everything goes, and we're going to see what happens when we put on a set of cast iron heads later on. So what do you guys think it's going to do? Is the cast iron going to make more power or the aluminum? So stay tuned and find out. What's good about the aluminum heads is that they vary about almost, I would say like these cast iron heads are roughly 75 pounds versus these aluminum heads, which is almost like, I believe 40 pounds in difference. So between both cylinder heads, you're saving almost 90 to 100 pounds per car. So that's good. You know, when you want to work on a Hemi engine, and you know, it's very hard when you're working in an engine bay, or even here, you want to put a cylinder head on the block, lifting it, aluminum, not a problem. But lifting here, this cast iron, it's almost 75 pounds. It's not easy. So when you get older, you like to go to the aluminum head. So anyways, right now, I just can't wait to get it tested to see what's the difference going to make between cast iron and aluminum. Okay, so let's get some fresh fuel. Here we go. Let me get my funnel. And we were using 94 octane from Petro-Canada. I've designed this motor to run on pump gas, not on racing fuel, not on aviation fuel, just natural pump gas from a service station. You know what, a lot of people, my customers like to run their cars, they don't go racing with them, they go cruising with them. So they like to build some power, but not too much crazy power, because you know what? They don't want to run around buying individual barrels or containers to buy racing fuel. They just want to run up to a service station, open the gas cap, and fill it up. Keep it simple. That's what we call that. I'm going to go to Evan to get some more fuel just in case we ran out, because we're going to do quite a few testing here today. I'm going to start her up with the aluminum heads because I want to make sure I got the perfect timing, max out the timing on the aluminum heads. And I've also got my brand new turbine here that's going to measure efficiencies and of course CFM. And because the turbine is not designed for a 2.4 barrel, I had this box custom made for me for a 426 Hemi to fit 2 Edelbrock carburetors, so I can measure my numbers on efficiency and CFM. Well, if I were to guess if cast iron is going to make more power or aluminum, I'm not too sure. They both have 170cc, they both have 225-inch intake valves and 1.94 exhaust valves. The only difference is the weight. Besides that, who knows? Maybe it's got a better runner. This one does or this one does. I don't know. All we're going to do is put them on later on and find out. You take any cylinder head, aluminum or cast iron, a lot of times the power is behind the seat, which is the ball area. You got to clean it out, blend it, but you know, you got to know your angles, you got to know how much to open up. So there's a lot of physics and science behind all that. So you don't just take any cylinder head and just pour it out. In many cases, when people do that, they could destroy a cylinder head. So leave it up to the pros that know what they're doing. So this is going to be pretty exciting. I can't wait to get it started. Okay, it's time to have some fun. Let's go. Some of you folks out there are asking me what oil sump stands for. This is the oil temperature in the oil pan. So today we're also going to measure the temperature of the oil in the engine. So it's going to be right here. As you can see, it's 103 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still pretty cool. We're going to get it in the green, and after that we're going to start testing it. Now it's idling on its own. Let it warm up. There we have 15 inches of vacuum at almost 12 to 1300 RPM. Frank does not have a car yet, so I don't know if he's going to have power brakes or not. But anyways, it doesn't matter. This is the way we're going to build it. This is the way he's going to take it. So, there we go. We're just going to let it warm up, and we'll take it from there. barometer of 29.87. Humidity is at 35.8%. So we're pretty good. Air temperature 71 degrees Fahrenheit. I have it at 38 degrees. I'm sure it's a lot less than that before, but anyways, let's make a test at 38 degrees, see how it goes. Here we go. Let's go make a test. Actually, this is the way to warm it up, is to rev it up. I don't remember having it at 38 degrees last time. Okay, let me check everything else. Oil pressure is good. Let's check if there's any oil leaks or anything like that. Let's take a look. Okay, here we go. We're over. We just did the same power that we did last time. When I tested before, we had 498. Now we are at 497. We're at the same power. I guess the timing was at 38 degrees. I don't know why I figured I had 32 before. Here we have 38 degrees on the aluminum heads. And we're still stuck at 499 torque. I still can't hit the 500 numbers. This is just a warm-up test. If you guys want to see the graph, there it is. I see from back to back with the old fuel, the new fuel, I've got the same power. I'm just going to retard the timing by 2 degrees and make another test. Just going to back it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put my timing light back on. All I want is about 35. And here we go. Let me put it on again and check it out. And I need to know if we need to go to 6,200 RPM. Let me see. Do we need to go that far? Let's take a look. Our horsepower comes in at 6,000. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to 62. Okay. Put the O2 sensor back on. Let's check the timing. Here we go. Degrees. Let's make another test. Okay, let's put the water on. Here we go. Let's see where we got at 35 degrees timing now. Okay, let's take a look. All right, we got the same thing, 496, 496. Made no change whatsoever. This is what I keep getting, 496, 497. And I've got a 507 torque at 3,900 RPM. And if we look at the horsepower, if you take a look here on the chart, here we are, we're at 497 at 6,000 RPM. So it seems like we've lost, no, we haven't lost any horsepower just by retarding the timing, but I've gained torque. I'm gonna just back it up a little bit more. I don't think it's gonna make much. Let's go find out. You know what? I'll bring the timing to 33 degrees and see how it goes. Let me shut the water pump. Let's go back to back and see what we're gonna get. So let's max out the aluminum heads. This is why when we finish testing with the aluminum heads, we're gonna max it out with what we got. And then after that, we're gonna tear it down and put on the cast iron heads and then continue testing on the same day. Okay, so we backed up the timing, and here we go. Okay, well, got a valve cover here. Doesn't matter, doesn't really matter. Wow, we seem to increase torque. Let's see what happens here. Look at that. No leak whatsoever. We got. All right, here we go. Okay, we've increased torque. Here we go, 32, 33 degrees timing, full advance. Here we go. We have 511 torque, 511.5 at 4,000 RPM, and our horsepower is still up there at 497.5 at 5,900, 6,000 RPM. Horsepower didn't change. It seems like our torque readings are going up. There you have it. Check this out. The horsepower is still at 498. I'm trying to get to that 500 mark with the aluminum heads. So far I can't get it. And with the torque, we're at 511.5. And we're doing good with that. So torque is increasing, horsepower staying the same. We are testing everything at the same time. We're checking for what kind of horsepower we're going to make aluminum heads versus cast iron, and at the same time we're checking see if these blocks are going to hold up with that stitch welding. We have good news on the blocks. So far everything's holding in place. The rear seal is not leaking oil at all, so that's good. We maxed out over 500 torque at 511.5 at 4,000 RPMs. We're still short of 500 horsepower. We hit 498. I still haven't done it with the aluminum heads. I've done a few tests last week. I've done a few tests this morning. Yeah, and I played the timing from 38 degrees to 32. I still cannot get my 500 horsepower. Everything else looks good. Oil pressure is good. No valve lashes, nothing. Everything seems good. So the only thing right now we can do is let's try on the cast iron heads and see what we can get. This is what we call a stitch weld block. right here. There it is. This was welded right across. So far it's holding. We've taken a few tests, we've run it hot, we've revved it up, and we're not finished testing it yet. We still have the cast iron heads to put on and still run it. So far on both sides, it's holding. So there you go, Frank. So far, so good. Okay, so we're gonna start cracking the bolts loose on the aluminum cylinder heads, so we can get going on installing the cast iron. We're gonna start from outside and loosen the cylinder head, and then remove it. Yeah, you know what? I like removing them in the order of the way you install them, and then the same way. Start from the outside and loosen them up as we go inboard. This is a key design for I don't know for what purpose, if they designed it for a Hemi or not, but doesn't matter. You put it on a 3/8 on one end, it's a 1/2 inch, and you need a shorter spobble so you can fit in there and remove them. But with the key, a wrench with just a hand, it's pretty tight. So you need something like this to help it remove the nuts. Okay, so now we gotta remove the studs. So we have 13 bolts on the outside and 4 on the inside because it's a Hemi cylinder head. So for that reason, I had to bring it here, remove the 4 studs, and transfer them over to the cast iron heads. And this is how it's done. We use a tool that's a stud remover, like so. And then, with a little sealer, like so, because it's exactly threaded into the intake port of the cylinder head. And for that reason, we put a little bit of liquid Teflon. Okay, then we do this. And we're going to do the same with all 4 of them. Looks like toothpaste, eh? This is a multi-layer gasket made by Cometic, and because I've been using aluminum cylinder heads, I do not go with the Chrysler shim gasket, which is 20 thou, because those were made for the cast iron heads. So these head gaskets are 27 thou thick. In other words, this is what I need for the aluminum heads. Now that I'm replacing it with the cast iron heads, I am going with a 20 thou shim gasket. Because I could use a multi-layer on cast iron, but since it's my customer's car and I want to make more power out of it, I want to go back what came with the factory, was a 20 thou shim gasket, which I'm just going to bring in right away and you guys are going to see it. They're made by Felpro, they're 20 thou thick, so they're going to give about a 7 thou thinner than the head gasket that I've used on the aluminum heads. But you know, it's not a big difference in compression ratio, but this is what I want to use and this is what we're going to go with. This is what came with the factory and we're going with this.
It's time for Nick's Tricks.
For you guys that have 426 Hemis, when you use the 20 thou shim gasket, and after that when you assemble the engine, you get it running, sometimes you see a minor oil leak right here on the corner of the cylinder head, between the block and the cylinder head. The reason is because where the drain is, right there and right there, sometimes the gasket doesn't get completely squashed 100%. So what I do is I help it by adding a little bit of silicone like so. You see? And I'm going to apply some in the back. Take a good look. Watch this. Just a very thin layer. It's just insurance. There you go. That's the drain. And of course, a little bit on the top where the water jackets are, like so. Especially when you use the 20 thou shim gasket, this is a good idea just to put a little layer thin of silicone. Doesn't need much, very thin layer. You know, I've run a lot of Hemis on my dynamometer. Sometimes, you know, you're breaking in a cam or something and you see sometimes maybe a little oil stain or a water leak right in the corner. So then I figured that problem. I see what the problem was, even though the heads were torqued down correctly. So I added silicone, light fill, between the gasket and the block and also the cylinder head. And after that, there is no leaks whatsoever. So let's go get that copper spray going. You know what, I've been using it for years and it works great, let me tell you. And it works, makes a good seal. And it's exactly what you need. It's a soft metal spray and it makes a good seal on your water ports, compression and all. Don't forget you're using a very thin gasket, so you want the best help you can get. Make sure your deck is clean. I use thinner for that. There you go. You can see it's written top there. Perfect. There it's go. So now let's go do the other side. Here we go, one more coat. I think I did it already, just to be sure. Okay, then you spray it upside down so you can clean the nozzle like so. You see that? Now it's stopped. There you go. Let's go put on the other side. And now we're ready to install the cylinder heads.
While the 426 Hemi is coming together in the dyno room, the heavily damaged Turbo 6 is coming out of the Buick on lift number 3. And once he's got the engine out of the car, it doesn't take Vasily long to start finding pieces. Lots of little pieces.
Yeah, so this cylinder took a beating. You have a bent pusher right through here.
And the deeper he gets, the worse things look.
There's nothing left of this cylinder.
I think we have a bigger problem than a head gasket here. George, I'm sorry. See it as a chance to upgrade. I don't think I've seen ever as bad as that damage.
Oh my God! Wow! I thought the 440 was bad, but this one,
John Geese was bad, yeah.
there's no more piston.
Never mind
And
the
no more
piston, there's
cylinder.
no more cylinder.
First time in my life, I see this.
Wow. And we were wondering where the piston went. Now we know. It's in the oil pan. What a mess. I gotta see this. Holy smokes. Oh, you can't fix this. This is total scrap. Wow. Oh, look at that. It's got a big chunk missing out of the cylinder. Forget it. It's gone. Scrap the block, man.
That's what used to be there.
Wow. Look, it's gone. Look at that. Wait till George comes to see this. All right, it's time to look for another engine. Keep it up, Devin. All right, I finally got this set down. I finally, a few hours later, we finally got the cast iron heads put on. So let's start her up and warm it up, and we'll take it from there. This morning, hey, I moved the time to 38, 36, 34, and 32. Tested before. So I want to get the water temperature around 165, 167 Fahrenheit, and I want to get the oil temperature around 179. Then after that, we're going to start testing. After this is done, we have another test after that. I want to take off the headers and put on his exhaust manifolds. We're going to see what that does. So anyways, let's compare apples with apples, cast iron versus aluminum with the headers, which are 2 1/8 inch diameter. Let's make a small test. I'm just gonna take it to 5,000, make sure everything goes good. We're gonna take a small test from 3,000 RPM to 5,000 RPM, just to warm it up. Here we go. 3,000 to 5,000. Small test. Here we go. I just want to warm up the oil. Let's see. Open the water. want to tighten the valve cover on the other side for me? It does look promising. Vasily, look, I only took it at 5,000 RPM. Let's take it at 4,500 RPM because we only took it to 5,000 RPM. At 45, it made 411 horsepower. Here at 45, it made 423. Torque, check the torque out. Let's say at 3,700, made 480. Over here at 3,700, made 503. So far, I don't know. The aluminum heads seem to be ahead. I haven't touched the timing yet. It's still at 32 degrees where I left it off with the aluminum heads. So you know what? Let's warm up the oil and get going. Let's go to 5.5. I'm just warming up the oil. Actually, let's go to 6.2. Let's go. 6,200. Ready? 1, 2, 2. Here we go. I want to run the same oil temperature if you want to compare apples with apples. You know what I mean? Okay, here we go. Take it from 3,000 RPM to 6,200. And here we go. At 300 RPMs per second. Finally, we've got over 500 horsepower. Here we go. There we go. There we go. We just have to warm it up like I said earlier. Vasily, take a look at this. Finally, we hit the 500 mark.
Oh, with gas 7.
Okay, here we go. We did it. So you know what? RPM 510 at 6,100 RPM. Okay, here we go. We lost torque. We did better torque before by 10 torque. This one did a 501 versus 511. So this engine with the cast iron. Well, you know what? Let's make one more test back to back. And the horsepower, we finally got 510.4 at 6,000 RPM. Take a look.
The gas iron is gonna make more power, man.
But we traded off 10 horsepower with 10 torque.
Yeah.
We switched it. We lost 10 torque. We gained 10 horsepower, vice versa versus the aluminum heads. But we're gonna make another test just to make sure. I want to get the oil at 179 degrees, right there, 181. So make another test in a few minutes, okay? And the timing is at 32 degrees. I did the best timing with the aluminum heads at 32 degrees. You think we should? Maybe, I don't know. You know what, we're gonna play around. Actually, pretty good because the oil was pretty warm there. Okay? The oil was at 172. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Okay, let's check the graph. Here we go. That went pretty good, eh? Any oil leaks?
No, but the valve cover in the back.
The valve cover, yeah. You know what? Tighten it a bit more and That's it. It's an easy fix. By me, I'm concerned about the oil leak on the rear seal, but it looks like it's very good. We're all good. Let's make one more test. Ready? Leave the fan on, leave the fan on. Okay, let's make another test. We're not gonna touch nothing, just pull it right now. Okay, ready? Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see what we got here now. Here we go. Ran the temperature.
510.
We should have run it a little bit warmer, the water. Okay, we're still in the same area. 510 horsepower. Nothing changed. Same thing. 503, 504, 504 torque. Yeah, we gained 10 horsepower. We lost 5 torque. So, here we go. Not much of a big difference, eh? You know, we just knocked off 100 pounds on the front end of the car by replacing the cast iron heads with aluminum heads. I did not touch the timing yet. It's still at 32 degrees. And we seem to be gained 10 horsepower with the cast iron heads. And we lost about 5 torque with the cast iron heads. So overall, basically they're the same thing. So the only thing I want to try after is I'm just gonna maybe advance the timing a bit. What do you say?
Yeah.
Let's advance the timing. We're gonna bring it to 34 degrees. We have it right now at 32. We're going to 34. And all you folks that want to know what cam specs are, if everybody wants to know, there they are. There's the cam specs to this motor. Okay, let's make another test with a timing of 34 degrees. Here we go. I know the valve cover is leaking, but my concern is the rear main seal. So let's go take a look. There you have it, right after the test. Not a drop, there you go. I love it when it doesn't leak at all. Perfect. We just did a test at 34 degrees. Let's check our scoreboard. And what do we got? Oh boy. Okay, so it looks like the cast iron heads need more advance. Oh, look at this. We hit 515 already. Oh, wow. Wow, this is something new to me. Look at this. We hit a 505 torque at 3900, and we hit a 515 horsepower at 6100 RPM. It seems like the cast iron needs more advanced timing. I had 32, the best timing on the aluminum heads. I remember last week when I was playing with the aluminum heads, the best timing, the best horsepower, the best timing on the aluminum heads with 32 degrees full advance. This one here right now, I just did a 34 and it just impressed me on the horsepower, 515. We are gonna advance it another 2 degrees, go to 36, and we'll make another test to see how it goes. This is the reason why we Dynatest motors. We want to see their maximum air fuel ratio is perfect. The timing now, we're at 34 right now. I'm going to bring it to 36 and make another test. Okay, here we go. I'm just giving it a few minutes. I'm going to cool down the room. I'm going to run another test at 36 degrees. I don't think I'm going to go any further than that because I don't usually put it higher than that on cast iron heads. But we're going to test it one more time with 36 degrees. Are we ready? Let's go. Here we go. Boy, is that engine going through the pace. So here we have it. We did a test at 34 degrees timing with the cast iron heads, and the best results were 519.1 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. And our torque numbers was 505 at 3,900 RPM. So there you have it. We got almost 20 more horsepower with the cast iron head versus the aluminum heads. Torque gain, well, the aluminum heads had a max 511 torque. This one pulled out 505. Okay, so we lost about 5-6 torque with the aluminum heads, but we gained 20 horsepower with the cast iron heads. And there you have it. And right now we're just gonna make a test without the turbine, just for you viewers to watch the fuel go down the carburetors. Just go in, cool down the room. Let me make sure there's no noises in the motor. Vasily. There we have it. Vasily, check for noises, okay? Looks all good. Oil pressure is good. Temperature, oil temperature. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna have to adjust the carburetors in a minute, in a while. Okay, there we have it. There's the fan. Yeah, pull out the same horsepower. 514, okay, so we're there. Okay, we didn't test it with the turbine right now. I just wanted to make a video with the fuel going down the carburetors. But anyways, there you have it. Cast iron heads made more power than the aluminum heads. The total difference was we had a gain of 20 horsepower with the cast iron heads, and we lost 5 torque versus the aluminum heads. So now let's make another test. Now that we finished comparing apples with apples, cast iron versus aluminum, now that the customer's got exhaust manifold, that's the way the ME is going home, we're going to put on the exhaust manifold and try it, see what it does. All right, so now that we've got the results with cast iron versus aluminum heads, let's make one more test now. We have left the cast iron heads on the engine. That's the way customers taking it home. And also, he's not going home with headers. He wants exhaust manifolds. So let's make another little test. So we took off the headers, and as you guys can see, we have the factory exhaust manifolds. So let's make a test, and let's see where we end up with this. Okay, let's go. Okay, here we go. All we're gonna do is one test, and here it is with the exhaust manifolds. We left the same timing at 34 degrees. And what do we got as torque? Maximum torque, wow. Our maximum torque was 484 at 4,800 RPMs. It came in very late. And then the horsepower came in at 485 at 5,900 RPM. So there you have it. So we had 519, we're at 484, so that's 15 and 20, about 35 horsepower loss with the exhaust manifolds. And the torque from 505, we went to 485 or so. So we lost 20 torque and we lost 35 horsepower. So it's not that bad. Anyways, it's not bad at all. Same camera, same everything, except this time we had the headers removed and installed the factory exhaust manifolds. There you guys, there you have it. Now you know the results between cast iron versus aluminum, and also when you remove the headers you got exhaust manifolds, and I've given you guys all the results. You got the cam specs. The only difference was the 7th thou gasket difference. That's all. I had a 20th thou on the cast iron heads and I had a 27th thou on the aluminum heads. So there you have it, you guys. I matched apples with apples. That's the best I can do. I've done as much as I can. This is a client's motor. I've put it to the pace quite a few times. Also wanted to check the stitch welding. So everything held in place. No oil leaks. Everything went well. And now we're done. And Frank, thank you for letting us test your motor. And there you have it. And thanks for joining me. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.